You're just finishing your biography of Alistair Gray, or have finished. What was the most difficult aspect of writing biography compared to novel writing?
Sense of responsibility, because in fiction you're making it all up and you have no responsibility to anybody. In biography, particularly if you're dealing with a subject who's alive, you've got great responsibility to be honest. I don't mean get it right or tell the absolute truth, because I don't think there is any absolute truth. I believe that far more strongly having written the book than I did when I started it. But to be able to tell the story as honestly as you possibly can, that is the most difficult thing, because you have to ask yourself questions about why you're writing it the way you're writing it all the way through. And you have to do justice to the person that you're writing about. I don't mean that in a off-the-cap, overly respectful way, not ask any questions of your subject. You should be doing the opposite. But to do the honourable thing is to be as honest as you can throughout. That was the most difficult.
Right. Can you talk a little bit about the choices that you made in the writing of the biography of Alistair Gray?
Yeah, sure. Well, the major choice at the beginning was how to write the biography in a way that was going to give the spirit of the man, as well as the details, the dry details of his life and his work. So quite early on I decided that I wasn't going to do a traditional biography. Half of it would be, half of it is chapter to chapter, just every chapter of every decade of his life, and analysing the work from that period, the writing and the painting, and then dealing with the books as they come up as well. But the other half of the book is diary entries that I've written partly about my relationship with Alistair, but mainly as a way of getting to his personality. So me driving him to a friend's funeral, me doing an event with him, me watching him paint, me working with him on a book, that kind of thing, but trying to take me out of the picture as much as possible, because I think Alistair is such an unusual and incredible personality that I wanted to be able to get that down for future generations, which I think will be interested as much as exactly where he was on any particular date. So in between the decade to decade chapters, the diary entries have been arranged not in chronological order but by subject. So there's a chapter particularly on art related things, there's a chapter on Alistair's women, there's a chapter on being a workaholic, there's a chapter on health, all of these kind of things that are grouped together to have a very bouncing about, back and forward feel, but I hope it keeps it lively as well. And the introduction is a summary of our relationship over the last 10 years, and me declaring all, and the final chapter is Alistair's tour for his new novel Old Men in Love, and following him around there. I really didn't want to do a straight, traditional, "ooh, what have we learned?" type conclusion. I wanted to show him alive and still at work as he is. So those are the major choices that really about how to structure the thing.
And in terms of that kind of, I guess the choice to actually write a biography of Alistair Gray at all, is that something that you could have foreseen happening, say, 2 or 3 years ago?
Well, I started it about 3 years ago, but shortly before that, no. I also say this in the introduction. I talk about how the book came to be, and it was very topsy-turvy. Alistair had a heart attack in 2003, and had joked that he wasn't going to live long enough to write his own autobiography. And I had previously joked that I would write it for him, but that he would need to let me do it my own way. But it really just came about by accident, absolutely by accident. And no, I didn't think I would ever be able to write a non-fiction book of any kind, because I didn't think I was thorough enough.
And in terms of what's your biggest hope for the book, and what's your biggest fear?
I hope that it draws more people to Alistair's work. Some books more than others, some murals more than others. I wouldn't have bothered writing the book if I didn't think he was a truly great artist, and I do. So my hope for the book, of course, is that people enjoy it, and I hope they laugh a lot because it's supposed to be funny, but also that it draws attention to his work because I think that it doesn't have enough. And my greatest fear is, well, it's very difficult to write a book about a living person in a living community, and so many of the characters in the book are alive and around on Byers Road. So I suppose I fear being murdered by somebody who's in the book that he's not happy with the way they're portrayed. I have to perhaps take a bodyguard around from now on.
Yeah, get Bloomsbury's to speak to Strathclyde Police.
Surely there's a budget for that somewhere.
Two novels published by Faber, one of the most prestigious publishing houses in the UK, and then separately a biography to be published by Bloomsbury, also one of the most prestigious publishing houses in the UK. How has your relationship differed in terms of, has the editorial process been different, and have you found your working relationship with the two different publishers different because the work is different?
Okay. Yes, they're very different, but I've been quite lucky in that there was never really any question of Faber doing the Alistair book because they've never published Alistair, and so it wouldn't have made any sense. I think I really wanted to go with a publisher that knew Alistair's work and understood it and was going to be able to understand the book that I was writing. I think Faber very quickly realised that this would be fine for me to go off and do another book elsewhere, and that it would probably be good for them indirectly as well, but also that they couldn't really do it. So there hasn't been any hostility there because of that. But I have learnt a great deal from having two publishers contrasting now, I think. But even if it was with the same publisher, I think it would be very different doing a non-fiction book. And that I got a deal for the Alistair book just as I was starting it, really just on a proposal on a few chapters, and the tone really of it I wanted to establish in that proposal. So I've actually been working with people at Bloomsbury now for 2 years before the book's even finished, more than 2 years, and before the book's even out rather. So it is a more involved relationship, and there are a lot more practical things to be dealt with about the way a book is put together. Like, I've never had to do a legal read before of one of my books to see if anyone's going to sue me. I've never had to put pictures together, for example, and do permissions or do indexing or check facts, all that kind of thing. And so it's meant that my relationship with Em has been a lot more involved. But then I expect it to change again when the biography comes out.